Oh, and for those new today, these are all the wireless microphones and such too. So they are pretty darn sensitive in this room. And when we mute, if we mute ourselves, it's muting everybody. So we didn't get any complaints from the other sites yesterday that it was picking up like obnoxious stuff, but it's very sensitive. So.
Okay, so I'm in Zoom.
Okay. Well, supposedly we should be able to.
You have to join.
Nope, you're gonna share screen if you have to share the slides.
Okay.
But then it's gotta give you. So let me see here. Unless they're gonna share slides. They're not responding on WhatsApp right now.
How do you bring home?
I'm trying.
You guys.
Good.
Good.
I
I'm
was,
excited. I finally have a reason to be in this building that I've been across the street at baseball games staring at for years. I've always kind of been like, what is that thing? Now I know.
so I guess the question is now is, are you going to be part of the Big Ten too, or are you going to?
I was laughing because it showed up like on the screen, like all the different, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'd forgotten Nebraska was part of it now. And I'm like,
And this is out in Colorado. They're all fretting like, I'm like, you know, what's happening next? So.
when you go get a coffee, refill.
They'll collapse it into one big one, and then they'll break it up again.
I have that kind of feeling that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Ten is only for markets. You know, they wanted the Southern California market. They'll probably go for the Northern California market. I would imagine the Phoenix market, you know, be
So they'll
attractive
swallow
to them.
those.
Yep.
And then Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Are you texting with your Basel team at all?
No, I don't even have their,
Oh, jeez.
you know,
Check my email. Oh, nothing.
I mean, I got an email from Isabel at like 4 a.m. sending me the final version of the slides, but
There's Isabella in there. So she's not checking her LinkedIn. I'm gonna go, okay. Isabella. Let's see.
I mean, Isabel should really be running the show, so to
Not see
speak.
you. Now, have you used the Zoom link on yours? Do you want to try?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I was gonna say, like I said, I haven't used any
Yeah.
Zoom. Or would I find the Zoom link? Would that be in the
Oh my God. Wow.
conference email I got last night?
Yeah, the new one.
Good morning.
And Randy,
We made it.
do the Chicago. Look at one of these.
How are you?
three.
I didn't know that was embedded.
We only found out on Friday.
I was having like a connection to it.
Yeah,
Right for that.
but
She
she's,
was.
it's remote, so they're not moving. And apparently she's still teaching in fall, thank God.
Yeah, I was like, who's gonna take over her class?
Yeah, so at least this year, no one. Yeah, at least this year, no one. After that, who knows? But because she's still local,
So worst case
they are,
scenario,
from
you
what
can be
Angela said,
on
happy to have her
and
coming in
we'll
as an
somehow
adjunct.
get the slides up
But
there.
yeah, it's in NIH,
Oh,
Clicking
nice.
them.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's like Angela was saying, it's like
Yeah.
they
The dream
wrote the
job.
job description for her.
Wow.
It's for that small business incentive grant thing that she's gotten more than once.
We don't know what's happening. We don't know if Basel has
Yeah.
a link job or what's going on.
So we're going out Thursday.
Nobody's
for, like,
responding to
happy
any
hour
message.
as a department.
So they just need the access.
But yeah, I barely
He
did, so I
just
wasn't
logged in,
sure.
he just tried to link too and it didn't work.
if we
I'm
were
not-
saying
the
anything
link
that I just saw she said
taking
to
me
me.
anywhere.
So,
Yeah. We have Facebook and.
So they just
yeah,
need
the
to get
department
invited,
got
because we
something
should be able
from
to,
Sid
like,
on Friday.
Can we invite?
Yeah.
How
So
do I
you
know
should-
that?
Yeah, we
Can you help me out?
barely knew, so I didn't say anything
Yeah.
yet.
I was explaining to Ruda that we have to have such a.
That's fine.
Do you know their emails?
Faculty's like a. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Who did you
serious,
need
I don't know how to say that.
Oh,
So
I don't
that's
know
what
if it's
I was
Isabel's,
going
do you think it's
Right,
Isabel's
the,
laptop?
obviously, I
She's
would
probably the main one in the Basel.
Okay, I can give you that.
been the chance that I would have
Her
been stuck with
email
her
address.
genomics for P1 stuff.
Is
And
Isabel,
would not do nearly as well with it as her,
ISABELLE.
so, I mean, so
Arnett,
we're hoping we will
ARNET.
eventually replace everybody on the agenda,
at
but good luck with that.
You're gonna be there, right? So now I have-
unibus.ch.
But I did figure out how to get on here, so I'll be able to monitor the chat, since I doubt anybody will really have any questions until I'm done, because it's
See if
just.
she's here.
Build this.
Which slide am I going through again?
Oh, the one, after the
Do I-
intro?
Do I stop there?
Yes, stop,
It's
stop
alright.
on this one.
I
Let
stop,
me go.
so I
put it on
do
the
this.
computer,
Yeah,
and I
so
can
do
send
that.
them a meeting ID
Okay.
information. so you
Okay.
Email that
And
directly.
then you want me to
Give them a
And, and essentially, we're not really talking about the Russian analysis, right?
No, we're not. Not
Okay.
my thing, but so anybody else, we'll direct it to there.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah.
Right here. I'm right here.
Okay.
Yes. Trying to help problem solve. Maybe I should just move next to me. I'm gonna have to run in the rest of
Shower.
I thought I'd be like, oh, I'll get it started. I'll run it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
I have to.
I have.
I wanted
That's-
to.
I just have to- yeah, my-
We're doing a lot on that. No, I seen him.
I've seen more towers.
Flying up on.
So I wanted to
Yeah,
see what
for
you
your,
had to do.
for the next.
I think Dan's.
Next time. And I'm just like, we're getting nothing, we're getting nothing back, there's no communication.
So they come and turn on the room. Which animals you. And how do we ask for the other people? You just are.
No, I'm.
Well, we're not.
That's, yeah.
We've done it,
One would
Dave
thi-
can't
one-
get on.
Yeah, one would think Basel would be popping up, or I'd be able to pop up.
I've never
Can
seen
you
Bob.
hit that Zoom link
click,
again,
yeah.
and can you hover over it once and see if it shows
Well,
up
that's,
as?
yeah.
I think I saw them on
There's a-
Sunday. I was watching from
There's the
here.
number. And when you clicked it, nothing happened.
So much, this is like, I'm here this morning and that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I put my name tag on my name.
Yeah. So it's like that's.
I was just excited.
Well, yeah, it's lovely, like.
This was the one I most wanted to see.
Yeah, I think they are right there. That is my.
My exam is on Friday, so.
I was more interested in it.
Yeah, I think the
Power. No. I'm like, I'm getting on.
flashing.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna go get, is there tea? I'm gonna go get a cup.
There was, yes.
Then I'm gonna go
It's over.
I know what you mean.
And you know, I woke up. saw
We
this
were
thing.
already up and so check my emails like.
Yeah. I know, because it was
And
there
there-
at the time we hung out.
1:30.
Okay, because I went to sleep quite late.
I like your job.
I channel very understated. Norwegians are very like, Oh, really? I've never been. I've never been.
Oh, I'm good. I feel like there's absolutely zero communication. Is your team communicating with you at all?
I mean, we've been emailing back and forth.
Anything right now?
She's gonna drive over and
Oh, wow. That's jealous.
Oh, participants, yeah. I haven't seen her for 4 years.
Training post, it says she has to put in a 10-digit code, do we have that?
Wish I had my.
Oh, she's gonna have grown a lot.
Oh, so she said.
Driving now is allowed.
Exactly.
So lovely.
That's awesome.
I was kind of living in there, so I know.
Yeah.
And they don't have the,
Right, if I get some conference record, that's a little bit why I chose Sarah City as well.
Looking after my farmers.
so
Sometimes.
yeah,
See, we had that.
the only other thing we can do right now is create a music, and you have to send it to everyone.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I have an.
If I knew Isabel would respond,
But she
I just sent her.
and then you just got the text code.
No, I just wrote it down.
Yeah, that's good.
So
So I'm just gonna go like this.
Or you can just click on it. Would you like us to just create a new Zoom?
And then there's.
Here's a speaker.
Down through. You go, you.
They didn't provide like.
So now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You sit in them and you.
I mean, you're probably on
That
this
sounds
puzzle
like-
trying to do the same
Yeah,
thing.
So and then let's do
whatever.
texting.
If I do it, do I have to kind of the existing one out of there?
We'll start. I don't want to see 15. We usually get one.
Oh, I haven't
one
done
set
so.
feedback
I'm just,
to change it. I
Kind of
didn't-
early.
Yeah.
Are you on your computer then?
End of June, and so, but I will look.
Oh.
Serious happened
I
down there,
just-
like a fire or something. That's
I
what
just say.
Yeah,
Let's see
What do
they-
you wanna, what do you wanna say? I just got this.
So the Zoom,
You
the
know,
Zoom,
and.
the embedded Zoom link isn't working.
No, it's not.
It'll be. I mean, I can do it. You tell me what you want.
So it's like about 20-ish minutes out from it. Okay. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Because I did a,
Yeah, I know, that's what we were talking about.
and that was just, really far away from where I live.
Yeah, okay.
And then.
Please.
Like, oh, you need to live at home.
Well, mine,
I
I
have enough
know.
money to send you out, which is actually like really convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to be 16 what we were doing probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it saved
Yeah,
a
they-
lot of petrol money.
Also,
Yeah,
to make their lives easy, so we did that, and then.
I don't
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry. It was just, so.
This is more important. Yes. I thought I was on the second floor, so.
Yeah,
Huh, no word from Basel. Huh?
yeah. Yeah,
Makes me worried, like, did they have a fire or something? I mean, that's where my head's going right now.
Isabel's been,
Isabel is usually on it,
Yeah.
emailing.
not emailing, she's not WhatsApping.
She emailed me at 4:13 this morning. So
Yeah.
that's the last I heard from Isabel.
And she's not WhatsApping, nothing.
I mean, she may be trying to get,
Potted, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to just type in.
Well, they have how many rooms to connected with us, right?
They have internet.
Tower?
I remember.
Pretty sure it's only two.
Oh, look at that. Listen to this silly audio. It's a professor.
Like,
yeah.
I've got 5 messages on WhatsApp that I've sent out and nobody's responding.
Would there be an internet access?
That's what I'm wondering, if there's any.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah.
We've got solid.
I think if they were
Canada's
having
problems
problems and.
Oh, yay!
This might be good.
Can you see us?
They came on.
Yeah, we
We
can't.
can't hear
We
you.
can't hear you.
Oh,
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 boy. Motion sickness, man.
oh, look at them all.
No, it doesn't look like it. Volume's on.
I don't see a mute on her thing. but-
Yeah, it doesn't show that
It
they're.
says it's for
muted,
recording,
so-
but
Yep. Yep, we still can't hear anything. If someone can talk.
Take it home.
Yeah. The sound for here is controlled by what speakers.
Glad to see people.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is, are they,
And they're not on fire, so that's good.
I know,
Yes,
right, that's what my mind
are,
was.
are, are, are they hearing us?
Feeling sleepy.
Can you hear us,
Can you hear or
Isabel?
see us?
Yes, oh,
Okay,
good.
they can hear
Good,
us.
good,
We
good, good.
can't hear you.
But they are on, so that's good.
Isabel, we can see and
We
hear
can,
you.
okay,
Good.
good.
So it seems like maybe they just have to click on the right microphone.
Yeah, it
And
seems
they'll be all
that you
set?
don't hear us. Correct. We do not hear you. And then do you want them to be sharing slides since the link's not working for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isabel, you'll need to share the slides because the link's not working for me on this end.
But now, if you're on your Zoom app,
Well, here, I'm gonna,
you can be on your
I'm
Zoom app.
just gonna try to log, I
You
was.
can do this through here.
So you just hit share content on here?
Hold on.
Yeah.
First,
Okay.
remember your Zoom
Okay.
screen.
So you'll just enter the sharing.
You're a
Enter your Zoom
delegate from Poland.
screen.
Welcome. Did you just get in today?
Yeah,
Welcome.
unfortunately.
And how many, Edra? No, Edita. Need glasses. Edita. Nice to meet you. I'm John.
Why?
I'm from.
I think you need to log in yourself first.
Thought I was logged in.
That's asking for your passwords.
No,
Okay.
Cancel.
Oh, that's great. I'll just- Welcome.
but it's very nice for me to be here.
But it sounds like
There's a few people from Europe that are here, and they said, yeah, you know, we travel. They don't hear me, but
Yeah.
we travel around Europe a lot. Let's go to Chicago.
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, but
Start your audio sharing.
No, it's,
Oh,
You don't need audio.
No, he was.
Share screen.
and now
There's
sharing
something
screen.
P-U-Y-Q-S-S.
Hallo, hallo, hallo. Hallo, ich glaube, es kommt was jetzt. Es kommt was jetzt. Hallo, hallo. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear us? No, they can't hear us.
Oh,
Oh.
Yes.
Silence, Chicago. One person speaking at a time, please.
oh, they don't hear you.
Yes, so you can hear us?
yes.
Oh,
Good morning, Isabel.
Good morning, everybody. Good evening. Kirstin, meinst du, dass mir das auch einstelle? Dass mir das doch keine einstelle? Step by step. Sorry, we have some challenges. Here's the room. Here are the people in Basel. Hello. And as we will share the screen, actually. Please wave again.
Yeah.
This is great.
They might.
Nice.
I'm not sure. It shows on his.
I love this.
It says stop share. I just don't see. It's cool. No, should it?
I love technique. Okay, everybody smiles. And
Okay, okay.
Okay. Okay, you did.
There we go. Yay.
we got it? Christiane, the floor is yours. I should start. Okay, so welcome everybody to our workshop, a joint workshop from Chicago and Basel. We have prepared this workshop, the three of us, David in Chicago, Isabel in Basel, and myself from Berlin. We are really happy that you all joined us in the two centers. And yes, we're very excited to share a little bit with you on this topic of biologicals and biosimilars. How can pharmacists be prepared for patients' needs? And all this topic actually started, I think, was it 2 years ago, maybe, when there was 2 years ago, there was an international survey actually started in Finland. There was a lady who was very engaged and asked, how is the knowledge of pharmacists and how comfortable do pharmacists feel counseling patients? What is the need? And this survey was then conducted in several centers, several countries, Australia, Thailand, many European countries. It was really interesting what came out. And this was a little bit the starting point for us to say there are many gaps, many challenges, and we are really interested to discuss with you today. How do you feel about it? What do you feel about your knowledge about what pharmacists need, what is needed by patients? So this will be a real workshop, not a lecture. So we would give some input in the beginning and then would be very happy to work simultaneously in both hubs. Yeah, this is how we plan for today's short, little bit welcoming and short introduction will come. And then we will do some group work in the different hubs, as I said, what the pharmacists need to effectively counsel regarding biosimilars. And this is more the topic of David and maybe of Chicago, but you are free to choose. What the schools of pharmacies need to do to prepare the pharmacists, the pharmacy students for counseling patients. And of course, in the end, we would like to make some wrap up, some sharing all together from both hubs. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to that. So our aim is what the pharmacists need to dispense and or to substitute biologicals, biosimilars, what kind of knowledge is needed. Very clearly, we need knowledge, but also the reflection on what is actually different between biological agents and normal drugs we dispense in the pharmacies. What's the difference when counseling patients? What information is needed by the patient? Which format of information giving of counseling is appropriate? And of course, what we do have to consider in the beginning is that there are lots of different situations in our countries. You have different regulations. People have very different opinions. And we would like to discuss today without the legal frameworks, but really looking at the content of counseling and leaving all the legislation a little bit aside. This just to give you an overview on the topic of regulations in different countries. You see here we just picked out some. The first line you see Australia, Switzerland, Germany, USA, and the UK. And you see just as an overview, it's really extremely different. There's some countries or continents like Australia, for example, where almost everything is possible. The first column you see here, they may substitute biologics very freely everywhere, community pharmacies and hospital pharmacies. And it goes up to, for example, UK, where almost nothing is possible for pharmacists to get involved, for example. Even dispensing is not always totally free. Okay, so now we would like to start with a poll, and this is Isabel's part. So if everybody has a tablet or, how do you say, a mobile device? Oh, this is the wrong one, sorry. Perhaps, oh, ja, das geht, das wird gehen. So. So, where is my mouse? Where is the mouse? Nein, ich muss da irgendwie, es sieht aus, geht aus. Ich will nicht loggen. Es gibt, oh, give me 2 seconds. It's always the same. It's all full of challenges. Have you already connected?
No
questions. Oh, okay, because I have to log in. Yes. Yeah. If they come, they come. You can get yourself familiar with your answering options, which goes from strongly agree to strongly disagree. We chose a 5 scale. Likert scale. What? Yeah, you will see. You will see. Ta 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 ta. So you should got the first. Okay, let me see. Do you have? Wait. Have you? Do you have any? Do you have anything on your? Yeah, you have. Okay, perfect.
Isabel, we're still having some issues getting people logged in here, so give us just a couple of minutes.
But can you,
Yeah,
can
no
you show us
problem.
the link
Can you show the link again, please?
or account ID? Is there a
Yeah.
code for the?
So what do you see on your?
Right now, we're seeing your question. We'd like to actually see the link.
Okay.
Some of us are in that.
That's it.
Yeah. Some of us are in, some of us are not.
So these are 5 items.
Wait, I think I'm in now. No session active.
If you're getting at no session active, just I think refresh and you'll get,
Okay, thank you.
yeah,
Oh, I get it. I'm there now.
okay.
Still I actually don't really know.
Are we about ready on this end?
Okay.
Okay, I think we're ready, Isabel. I'll mute and then you can go ahead with the polls.
Das ist sehr, sehr cool, was macht den Raum sein. Das siehst du die. Ja, super. Okay, we can see here how many have answered. Chicago David, how many are in your room? We can see some, but can you tell us how many participate in the workshop in Chicago?
We have 12 people here, Isabel.
Perfect. Okay, we have 13. Yes. 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 One more. Okay, so we can have 25 maximum. Some are still missing. Take your time. This is no problem. We're really interested in your answers. And everybody is having the link. Ja, wenn Sie dir so viel antworten. Ja. Warten, bis die uns mal an die anderen durch sind. Numbers are still rising, so we take 1 or 2 more minutes. I think this should be fine. 1 minute. 1 more minute. Okay. One minute. This is one. You see how how they are sort of running through the process. It's really a pity. Ah, look. 20 have finished.
Yes, we're finished, Isabel. Go ahead.
Okay. Can we stop? Are you fine?
Yes, we're done, Isabel. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Wir können das mit uns teilen. Wir würden das gerne sharen. Ja. Okay. 1 second. Sorry about that again. So this is, okay, let's start again. So this is now the answers of 22 people in the room. So the first question was, I feel sufficiently informed, and the majority says D, they disagree. So most of us in Chicago and in Basel said, oh, agree 15 and disagree 13. So we have half, you see, people saying agree or disagree. You see the bars in Chicago, all good? The second question, I feel sufficiently informed to dispense biologicals to patients. The majority disagree. The 10 here disagree. So neither agree nor disagree. I would say interpret this as nobody strongly agree. We have nobody in the A. The third question was, I'm confident in handling patient queries regarding the biologic therapy. And here again, the majority disagrees. The fourth question was, I'm comfortable explaining benefits and risks. Yes, again, 6 and 10. So the majority disagree. We don't feel comfortable. And finally, comfortable with substituting a biological medicine. Again, here, the majority disagrees. So it is definitely necessary that we speak together and that we have this workshop on both sides of the ocean. Thank you for your patience also in Chicago, but I think I like those tools when the technique functions, and it was now functioning. So we would like to continue with some definitions. Yeah, thank you a lot. It was really very interesting for us also with the survey, which was on one hand looking at knowledge. Really, what is the definition? We come to some definitions just as a start for us today, but also looking at these more the attitudes and more this part, are you feeling fine with the topic? And this was really striking that most people didn't feel comfortable with everything actually regarding biosimilars and biological products. So this was really the starting point for us also to look into this, and we are really looking forward to our discussion. So just to start to give you some brief definitions, I think this is nice as a basis for our discussion, is what are biologicals? They contain active substances from biological sources, of course, example, living cells or organisms, which are naturally available. This variability must fall within the acceptable range to ensure consistent safety and efficacy. Unlike chemical drugs, molecular identity cannot generally be established for any two biological drugs. And biosimilars are highly similar and not clinically meaningfully differences from an existing approved reference product. It is not regarded as a generic of the biological substance. And I think this is really the big difference. It's not identical. It is a little difference within a certain range. And now this is the third really important definition we would like to give here. It's interchangeability, and it refers to the possibility of exchanging one medicine for another medicine, and it's expected to have the same clinical effect besides its differences. So it could mean replacing a reference product with a biosimilar or vice versa, or replacing one biosimilar with the other. And replacement can be done by two measures, either switching, which is done by the physicians, or substitution, which is then done by the pharmacist if it's allowed in the respective country. So we do see that in the development of the last years, it became much more important to talk about biosimilars, although it's not available since a long time. And you see here, the first approved biosimilar in the European Union was in 2006. Then came Australia in 2010 and USA since 2015. And currently we have about 60 authorized biosimilars in Europe. These are figures from last year. And we see a widely growing market, which you see in the diagram below. You see this is $1 billion. It's really rising like anything you see from 2015, where it was like maybe $2 billion, going up to almost $14 billion worldwide. So it's really a big proportion also of the costs in this whole system. So it's really worth to look at it. So what we would like to do now with you is that you become active and start working. And what we did is we prepared some questions in advance and discussed what could be things that pharmacists need to really effectively counsel patients on biosimilars. And we collected a number of items that we invite you to discuss. And we have it prepared for you in a short matrix you can use. So we suggest you in Chicago, as well as you here in Basel, group together, maybe in 3 groups, and sit together outside with the matrix and discuss one by one, what do you think about these topics? Is it essential for you to know for your counseling? Maybe you add further topics that you consider as important. We would like you to group first, if you want, the pharmacist perspective, or a second group, the patient's perspective, or a third group, the pharmacy school perspective. But you have to select 2 out of the 3 groups, because we think that it will not be sufficiently time to do the thinking procedure for all 3 groups. So perhaps these people here say, we are only interested in the pharmacy school, so we will one group on one topic, or just how you feel it. Perhaps you want to start with the pharmacist perspective, 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Isabel, why don't we go ahead and we'll mute both of our groups, have discussions amongst our rooms here, and then we can just reconvene in about, I'd say, 30 minutes at the top of the hour. I see it's 9:30 here. I'm guessing it's 4:30 there. We'll just have a 30-minute conversation here about, honestly, I think we can talk a little bit about all 3 of the topics right here. And then we'll reconvene in 30 minutes. Does that sound okay?
Yes, you can decide on your own what is the best concept for you. If you want to build 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, and then I would say we can meet in 40 minutes, 40, in 40 minutes again.
Okay, that'll leave us only 10 minutes at the end. Is that to combine everything? How about let's because we only have until 10:20 here.
Okay,
so how about
30 minutes?
30 minutes. Let's do at the top of the hour.
How many?
30. Okay, I'm gonna go mute right now.
Ready, steady, go.
Hello, everybody.
There's a problem in the US.
We should go.
Hello. Hello, hello.
I've been doing some work in Trump, so.
Yeah.
Get rid of that Big Ten.
And we're collaborating with them
Yeah.
on their.
Yeah.
Hello, Chicago.
Welcome back, Isabel. See you.
So would you like to summarize your thoughts? And then we can summarize our thoughts very shortly. And we have now on the screen the list, the matrix with the 15 or 14 items.
Oh,
And we added, you see, pharmacists, patients, and educators.
I'll say we really didn't go through the matrix and evaluate each one. We really had just a discussion across the board about what is it that pharmacists need to know, what is it that patients need to know, and what should pharmacy schools be doing. And perhaps I could summarize and share that with your group, and then you could share back what your group discussion was. Would that work, Isabel?
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. We had a great discussion here. Starting with the pharmacists, one of the things that came up is we oftentimes have a payer, a third-party intermediary that more often is an insurance company, might be a government agency or so forth, but there is in essence a layer that will determine whether or not, even if there might be substitutability for this by a government agency. A government agency says a pharmacist can do this. It's still ultimately up to that payer to determine whether or not the patient can actually get that. And that's a separate decision on top of whether or not it's substitutable. There were discussions about the nomenclature. I think going back to what is a biologic, what is a biosimilar, just the various different places we're in with regards to nomenclature right now, and how can we better harmonize and standardize this. We had interesting discussions about the access point and where the pharmacy is involved in whether or not some drugs are actually available only in a physician's office. Some drugs are available only in what we call here in the United States a specialty pharmacy. And then there's another group that would be available in more general community pharmacies. And again, depending on where you practice or where you work as a pharmacist, your knowledge base and ability to be able to work with this would differ. Something that cut across both what pharmacists need to do and what pharmacy educators need to help our students learn is advocacy. And this is advocacy oftentimes for our patients directly. Pharmacists have not had a lot of roles, at least in the community pharmacy, of directly advocating for a patient. If a payer says you can't have something, oftentimes the pharmacist just simply conveys that to the patient, says your insurance said that you can't have that, as opposed to taking that decision and then maybe making an active advocacy step on behalf of that patient. Clinical pharmacists and hospitals in the United States are a little bit different in that oftentimes they are working directly with physicians and other prescribers in their settings, and they are able to make an advocacy, not so much whether it's paid for, but whether it's actually prescribed, whether the patient can actually access or get that medication. When we get into this issue of specialty pharmacies, where it's administered in a doctor's office, specialty pharmacy, community pharmacy, most pharmacies don't know what's going on in other pharmacy settings, or other patient care settings, such that if a patient is getting a medication, let's say in their doctor's office, that's not something that the community pharmacist would generally know.
Thank you very, very much, David. So we got a big picture about a big discussion. And I think this is a very good example how it is currently. It is a large discussion with a lot of options. Let me summarize very shortly what we did here. We had two groups of our participants, and they went indeed through the matrix. And there are almost the same point of view, almost not very identical, but to summarize, most of the items are crossed as relevant for the pharmacist's perspective. A group even said all of those items and even more. So the pharmacists need to have a lot of knowledge to be able to be prepared for patients' need. And for the patient's perspective, at the end of the day, it is not very few items. It is probably depending on the pharmacist. So this is what we could summarize from here, from Basel, that perhaps even more items are to be discussed or to be known. One point is probably the reimbursement, the costs might be a point that patients need, and of course, all the instructions of use for both perspectives, pharmacists and patients. We did not really discuss the educators' side because of lack of time and because the discussion were so vivid, you know?
We did discuss the.
Oh, room needed.
We did discuss the education side here. So if you'd like us to share a little bit about what we discussed with regards to what is it that pharmacy schools need to do, would you like us to do that?
Please.
All right,
Yes,
great.
2 minutes.
All right, we talked about advocacy and how we as educators can help teach students and pharmacists about patient advocacy specifically. We've put a lot of emphasis on professional advocacy, but we haven't put so much emphasis on patient advocacy. We talked a lot about how just there's no standardization in the United States, how this is just covered across curricula, across pharmacy programs. Everyone's got their own examples of what they do. It's somewhat driven by, here in the United States, we have a national board exam that students have to pass in order to become licensed as a pharmacist. And everyone's kind of tuned into what are the expectations of the board exam, and we somewhat teach to that board exam. We talked about pharmacogenomics and pharmacogenetics and how this becomes blended into that content. We honestly, at the end of the day, we thought a lot about there's so much content that needs to be delivered in a pharmacy program, and there's only so much time that our students are in the program. And we struggle with, there's just simply no way we can keep adding content to a program. We need to focus more on processes and how do we teach students to understand processes that would help them better utilize biosimilars such that when they get into their own practices, they can then better make decisions about what do they need to continue to learn and where does that learning occur. It's not just in the professional program, it very well may be in a postgraduate part of their professional development.
Thank you very, very much, Chicago, here Basel. We have a suggestion for here and for you there. What do you think about continuing this discussion outside after the workshop? We know each other, we have our names and our emails, and we could just use this list plus all the items that came up from the discussion. So the list might be with 18, 19, 20, and we could build a sort of survey. Selina is perfectly, how do you say, expert in Google Forms. And then we could spread this among all of us, and then just by clicking yes, no, and we could have a sort of overall image or overall picture about what we think as a working group, 25 people, about the needs for pharmacists and for patients to be prepared for counseling. Would this be something you could agree on, Chicago?
Yes, very much so. I think the idea of people being involved in this discussion would be great. We had a lot of discussion where people already said, I want to follow up with you on this and I want to follow up with you on that. So I think, Isabel, if you'd create a forum where we could do that, I sense those conversations would very much continue. One thing that I think we really valued from here, we had a good mixture of what I would say are some of us social and administrative research people with people who are more clinically orientated, as well as people that are more scientifically orientated. We had a good mix of people in the room, which I think really had made this a very rich conversation.
Because we could discuss for hours, but we have a boat to catch in 2 hours, and we have a workshop in between and coffee. So we need to break down this workshop. And I suggest that first, thank you very much. And I like the name forum that you use, David. So we might build up a biosimilar biological forum and just have a look how it ends, let's say in a month or so.
Sounds very good. Thank you. No, that'd be great, Isabel.
So David, you are the Verbindungsoffizier. How do you say that? The connection. The connection. Bye-bye, everybody.
Right,
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Man, David can just.
I practiced pharmacy. I was pharmacy manager for many years. And the thing was that a lot of pharmacy didn't want to have biological medicine in stock. And the reason why is it has nothing to do with the pharmaceutical care or the information or the need